Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. This morning, we are happy to have the Honorable Worlea Saywah Dunah with us, and we are going to be speaking on the House Speaker Saga, that's the trouble that's in the House of Representatives, and how it jives with the rescue mission and the overall arrest agenda. Let me welcome Honorable Dunah to the show. Thank you, sir, and welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I happy to join you so that we can continue these discussions, which are helping to shape our democracy, strengthen our rule of law, and make Liberia the kind of democracy that it has wishes to be by the framers of our organic law, the Constitution.
Thank you. Let me mention that Mr. Dunah is a former lawmaker, District Number 7, Nimba County. That's District Number 7, Nimba County. Currently, he's a practicing lawyer with the Dunah Central Law Offices, right?
And, Central Law Offices.
The Central Law Offices. And it's always also interests you that while in the House, he was member of the majority bloc that got Speaker Tyler out. Again, I want to welcome you, Honorable Dunah. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is your first time.
Thank you very much.
I got a jar of Grumpy here to say welcome, and let's break bread.
Thank you.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not done so already, please share the show, invite someone, and let's get started. Dunah, I just want to start by your opening statement. Just anything about you that I didn't mention that you want to our listening audience to know. Just a little bit.
Thank you very much. My background is quite very simple. I attended village school in the village called Legality in a rural Nimba County, and then subsequently to the public high school, the University of Liberia. So I'm a total product of the Liberia public education system, and I've had the opportunity to, during the days of Charles Taylor, to be part of the New Deal movement, and we fought for democracy on a very difficult situation led by Larry Topa, Abraham Mitchell, and we helped to create a democratic space here. And we resisted the armed tyranny of Charles Taylor. And that is precisely one of the reasons why I have decided to put my mouth in this matter. When I heard of warmongering and people saying that the former speaker for Nati his removal may bring war, then it dawned on me that there was a need to provide additional education and information to our people about the working of our constitution, the intricacies of our system of governance, and the practices even where it evolved from. So that's who am I. Like you already said, I'm a lawyer and I serve in the legislature and I was on the judicial committee. Yes, also I was on the international delegation for 10 years on the ACP, African Caribbean Pacific, and European Joint Parliamentary Forum. That assembly meets 4 or 5 times in Brussels, so I was head of delegation as well. So I participated in international parliamentary democracy work, and quite recently I was Minister of Post and Telecommunications, and but in the beginning, my resistance, my adherence to war, while in college, I organized the Center for Peace, Education, and Democracy, and we resisted the war, and I participated in the demobilization and disarmament process through awareness. My NGO won a grant from the National Endowment for Democracy, which is based in Washington. And the records I did that I successfully won 2 grants. And we ran a program against proliferation of small arms and light weapons. So I'm someone who has been totally against war because hey, I experienced it at a worse level. I live in the territory of Samuel. I survived massacre as a Guillermin, and I went in the territory of Prince Johnson. I survived that chaos because the Guillermin who refused to take arms for the warlord Prince Johnson then was regarded as a Chancellor man. And then when I crossed to Chancellor territory, a new entrant from Prince Johnson territories was considered to as an opponent. And so God fixed it in a way that we survived it all. And then the democracy become more precious to some of us. It touches our soul and heart. And when we hear people say that a matter of a legislative dispute, which have already been settled, someone incapacitation, someone who could not fulfill Article 49 function of running the House properly, and the 49 margin has been achieved, and the new speaker in the House, and then you want to talk about war. Nobody talking about war here. He just lost the speakership, and he must prepare to do the work of the people of Grand Crew.
Thank you, thank you. Are you? Do you currently have any political affiliation?
Currently, as you may be aware, leading up to the 2023 general and presidential elections, what is true, leading up to that point, I have worked as a executive of the Unity Party, but I supported President Weah's bid at that time, which could be like an automatic suspension of my membership with the Unity Party at that point in time. And so, post elections, I returned to private life, and I'm not active politically with any political party at the moment. And in fact, as a matter of fact, I did not. I supported President Weah agenda and his national campaign at that point in time, but we did not formally or informally join his political setup.
Thank you. Let's
That
go
is his
into.
political aggregation.
Thank you. Let's go into. I mean, you started talking about it already. This whole ruling
Already,
in
yeah.
the House, and yeah, a lot of constitutionality, the House rule, and all that. What is your reading of what's going on? Why you think this is happening, and how you think it got started?
Well, if you want to look at the history of legislative leadership in Liberia and the world over, from the get-go, the presiding officer or the speaker must always maintain a majority. As you are aware, in parliamentary democracy, the loss of a majority, it means the prime minister has loses his job as well. So the same goes in the legislative setting. I think you are aware of the most recent American Speaker McCarthy, a vote of non-confidence, and he stepped down. He didn't say, "Hey, I got a 2 year tenure here." So it is all over the world. So that is the process and the norm of democracy. And so what has been happening at the House is a political process,
Hmm.
and the guys line up a number of issues. And among those issues, the speaker has not the former speaker did not really speak to those issues, but he said that he was entitled to a 6 year tenure. But a legislative leader, be ye a prime minister, be ye a speaker, be ye a senate pro tempore, be ye a majority leader, you must maintain a majority to hold your job. You don't have a fixed position locked in for a duration. That
And,
that 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 that
and,
is mistaken and a
and I think
solid
that's it.
trying to exploit the ignorance of the Liberian people.
I don't believe the Liberian people are ignorant. I believe they are very smart people. But here is the thing.
Mhm.
I think the constitution is clear on the two-third majority. I think where people are little confused or not clear is how do we establish this quorum, right? We all know of the quorum to be anything, you know, above that, or half of it, the assembly 3 divided by 2. So if you have 37, you have quorum, right? But where
Yeah.
should this quorum be? And what leads to, and I'm asking this because the quorum was not established in the chamber. People went
Mhm.
outside and say, hey, the quorum is on this side. So what is that process leading up to the establishment of that quorum?
So, firstly, I will have to correct you on that count. The quorum was established in the chamber. There is one thing we can do in this whole situation. We can project our own views on it. We can project our own interpretation of the Constitution, but we cannot change the facts of the situation. Historically, factually, you will remember the former speaker was outside of the country, and my understanding from what I saw online, the deputy speaker was going about his normal constitutional duty to have a session of the honorable house in their regular session hall.
Right.
The House of Representatives, as constituted currently, because of the Chinese aid that built that annex, the House currently have three meeting grounds in that building for section. In the old building, there is a regular section meeting ground there that is open. The plenary is there, it's open. The joint assembly is another plenary, and then the new one in the Chinese building. So you get three locations for plenary meeting at the house. And they were stopped very violently, and they decided to repair to the general assembly, the joint assembly hall to conduct session. The movement of the members of the House to that session under Deputy Speaker Fala's leadership when the former speaker was out of the country, and they established the 37 plus, which is the Article 33 majority. It automatically made that place the plenary of the House until otherwise ordered.
Okay.
Now,
No, no,
that
before
that
we
take care of the issue of the plenary. So to say the plenary was established outside is wrong. It
right.
was
So
established in a capital. Mhm.
before we go further, so they were
Yeah,
prevented from going into where they normally met. And so
yeah.
because of that, they
Mhm.
went into an alternate room, and that was plenary. That was section.
So, yeah, because plenary is defined by Article 33.
Okay.
Article 33 says, which is very clear, a simple majority should constitute quorum for the transaction of business.
Yeah.
And you will realize critically the reason the framer of the Constitution didn't put their speaker but presiding officer, it is because it is not at all sections, neither is it at all activity of the House that the speaker presides.
It's true. Speaker
So,
may not be there.
co-
So that's understandable.
no, definitely. I was never a speaker. I presided over laws that are passed and are in use today. And also, mind you, all legislators, all House of Representative members in Liberia, when you go in on the second Monday in January after the elections year, that was the second Monday of this year, January, the presiding officer sitting up there was the chief clerk. So the chief clerk enroll you and administer an oath to all of you. The same chief clerk preside over the election of the speaker. You got it.
Right.
So after the chief clerk have administered the oath of office to the speaker, if you draw out Fancy profile now, who you will see administering the oath of office to him, not himself, but the chief clerk. So the chief
Yeah.
clerk is a constitutional officer by the
Yeah.
constitution, by the statutory law, by the rule is the custodian of the record of the house. So
Right.
what happens there is they have quorum, and
Yeah.
that quorum determine that because of the violence, from what I understand, they want to assess the damages to the building because talks were brought from outside. They want to assess the damages to the new plenary hall, and so the old plenary hall in the house was not accessible, so they repaired to the joint assembly hall. So it's purely legal. Now,
Right.
how could that section be reversed? There is
Right.
only one reversal to that section, and that reversal rests in Article 33. If you went back to Article 49, it says the speaker, deputy speaker, and other officials should ensure the proper functioning of the house. So when the former speaker returned to Liberia, had he more than 37 plus anywhere else in that building, that become automatically what? Plenary.
Right. So yeah.
So so
I guess
so that failure becomes fatal, and then the Liberian people business cannot rest. Mind you, the Liberian Senate was still sitting, so the legislative work in earnest commenced with the majority because Article 33 is clear.
right.
And
So
then
I just wanted
there
to
were other
establish,
things that uh-huh.
I wanted to establish more the legality of that session that was held. I wanted to lay that
Yeah.
to rest,
So
right?
so so let's lay that legality down. So
Yeah.
the legality first by factual information, they were denied. And
Who denied?
whosoever denied them,
Who denied them?
it was some of their colleagues that denied them with violence and with some talks. So
Right. We
that
watched that over
denial
television. There was total chaos.
live. So you know what that denial did? It automatically gave the deputy speaker and the majority with him the right to reassemble anywhere and establish plenary.
All right.
The legislative things to have done that time was to go in that session with them and resist whatsoever legislative using legislative techniques, but they failed to do that. So that session is legal on that basis, and that session is constitutional because it constitutes 37 plus. Now you know that every day the former speaker was adjourning. Why was he
Yeah.
adjourning?
We'll get to that part because I
Okay,
still have question on this
okay,
legality, right? Because
yeah, let's go with it.
you have a group of let's say 40, anything past 37 that were going to plenary, that were going to session, and everybody
Hmm.
else was going to session. So that day was the actual day they should have met. I know they
Hmm.
meet on Tuesday and Thursday, right? So probably that was a Tuesday or a Thursday, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So they were going to a session and someone stopped them. You said people brought thugs from outside. And so because of that, they decided to go into another room.
Yeah.
And because they went there and because the deputy speaker was there, that
Hmm.
became legal. And
Yeah, and
there
they
was
didn't
no
stop
chaos.
there.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they didn't stop there. They declared that henceforth, until we investigate the violence and assess the damages to that place, we
Okay.
will be here. Upon the return of the speaker, he should have gone there.
Oh, and so what wrong with the other? Oh, so that place now became, let's
Yeah,
say,
because majority by legislative work and procedure and rules, the fact that a majority under the
yes,
presiding who was on the ground, they have so declared it.
right.
Therefore, upon return, the presiding the speaker should go there.
Oh,
When he goes in,
it's not the other way
uh,
around.
no, it's not all right. The speaker, listen, the mistaken belief that the speaker is plenary is wrong. The constitution didn't say so. The constitution says plenary is the majority.
Right. And I don't think people are saying the speaker is the primary, right? They
No,
are
the
saying,
speaker, the pleading. If you see the paper that was sent to court, it said illegal plenary without the speaker.
yeah.
And so the speaker own lawyers are telling the Supreme Court that his absence made plenary illegal, but they will have to answer what happened to 33 at the appropriate time. But the plenary there is so you return from wheresoever you come from, and your family is in that room and said violence were in that room, you go to that room and sit with them and sort things out. But whether he goes there or not, it doesn't create illegality. Legality is created by the number and by the decision of that number. And it didn't take long. Another thing happened. There's a second layer to the legality.
Okay.
Under the legislative law and in the constitution, you have the office of the chief clerk. You have the office of the sergeant at arms. and you have all the professional legislative desk staff. So what happened, Mr. Ja? They realize by training, they have been trained by external people a lot and even ourselves, that by training, that place was declared as plenary in their presence. And therefore, all of them have been going there. That is second level of legality. Third level of legality. Go to Article 40 of our Constitution. It says no one house shall adjourn for more than a week without the order. So, under the normal practice, when you cannot, for whatsoever reason, work for more than a week, the presiding officer of that particular house writes the order so that they can take a recess too. In the absence of doing that communication, the former speaker suffered waiver and lashes, as they will say in law. And so the Liberian Senate continued to sit. And why was the Liberian Senate therefore sitting? They were not sitting because of the former speaker adjournment. No, they were sitting because why? There is a quorum doing the Liberian people business. Fourth land of legitimacy and constitutionality. Fourth
So
land.
the problem we're meeting because they have not received any communication from the speakers. Don't meet because we don't have a quorum here.
Also, in their mind, there was quorum. That's why they two were meeting. Had they been informed by communication that
Right.
we don't have quorum, just after 1 week, the constitution just said 1 week. So that's 7 days, right? And we
Right.
are all aware that this has stretched into over a month, and the former speaker, failed to establish quorum. So why he didn't write the letter? So because he didn't write the letter, either consciously or unconsciously, the Liberian Senate sitting, continuous sitting, therefore legitimizes the majority who by then have quorum from day to day. So the Senate sits because of the House's quorum, and the House sits because of the Senate's quorum. You got it. Now, so those are the lines of legitimacy that we were able to outline this morning for another audience, and we are outlining here. It's very simple. If the House doesn't have quorum for 1 week, the House writes the Senate. If the Senate, vice versa. In this case, did the former speaker did it? So what happened? It consolidation. It allow the process to continue unabated, and he lost his job.
Okay. So what the majority bloc or the so-called majority bloc kept meeting, and so they were doing the Liberian people business, as you said,
Yeah, the
right?
last line of legitimacy, please. The last line of legitimacy is you will realize that the executive took note of it seriously, and then members of the executive were cited. The Minister of Internal Affairs, he did appear. The Minister of Transportation did appear. The Managing Director of the Water and Sewer Corporation did appear. What message is that? After the Senate recognition, after the Central Administration recognition, then you have the executive recognition. So all of this, without being heralded, it was clear to everybody that that is the legitimate body doing the Liberian people business. And if you want to know whether that was the majority of the Liberian people, it is
Right.
43, 44. It's the majority of the Liberian people.
So the other way to look at that, the executive dealing with them, going there, meaning the way other people look at it is, oh, okay, it was the executive mentioned that undermined Speaker Kofa and engineering this whole what people refer to as coup d'état, and that's why they are given this legitimacy by going there to appear. That's the thing.
I have a contract view. If I'm the president of Liberia, or if I'm a minister of internal affairs, and I receive a letter from plenary, I have my legal department. I seek his view, and he tells me if that is majority, you should go because of Article 33. I don't need to go ask the president. That's why every ministry is equipped with legal. You could additionally sub the view of the attorney general if you want to, but if the matter is so crystal clear that there is a sitting plenary of the House, and then when you look, you say, has the Senate adjourned? No, the Senate is sitting. Okay, the Senate is sitting. The national legislature of Liberia is therefore sitting. So you appear at the national legislature, you are usually received by somebody. Ja, when you go on invitation, you are received by the constitutional officer. That is the chief clerk and the sergeant at arms. That is why my brother Mo Ali said when I went, I was received by the sergeant at arms, and where he carried me was plenary. So they were received by the constitutional officer and they were taken to plenary and they discharged the Liberian people business.
So now we are in this place. This is where we are.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
according to their thinking now, because
Mm-hmm.
Fonati was still the speaker, right? Up to the
Up to
time,
the point of the announcement of a removal, he was speaker.
right, he was speaker. Why didn't President Bouakai deal with the speaker then?
President Bouakai is actually under constitutional obligation to deal with the plenary of the House of Representatives. And
Being,
President Bouakai,
being the speaker.
I don't speak to him. I don't speak for him. I'm not in his government. But any president of Liberia is under obligation to deal with the plenary of the House of Representatives through their custodians of records. All communication to that body, it goes to the custodian of records. It's like you write into the court.
Who
Do
is
you
it
write to
addressed?
listen? I
Who is
come
it
in
addressed?
when you write is addressed to the if you address it to the plenary of the house, they carry it to the clerk. If you want to address it to the speaker, no problem. But when you address it to the plenary of the house, that address is proper. When you address it to the chief clerk of the house, that address is proper. It's the
So
same like if you are delivering a document to the Supreme Court, you direct it to the clerk of the Supreme Court. Once the office of the clerk signed for it, the chief justice has signed for it. It's the same thing all over. So the particularity and the argument of the former speaker that the entire House of Representatives revolves around him is contrary to the constitution, the intent, and the practices of that place. It doesn't go so. Any communication addressed to Madam Chief Clerk is for the floor. Any address or communication addressed to the speaker and members is for the floor. It's for plenary. So once plenary is seated, any action that goes to the chief clerk will take it to the leadership. So in this case, the chief clerk took those communications to the leadership. Now as regards the formality that has developed over time, like over the presentation of the budget, it's just a formality. It's not the rule. The rule is you present the budget to the house, and the speaker and the chief clerk signs for it and carries to the leadership.
And what
So
has
that's
been the
precisely
history?
what I think happened.
What has
Mhm.
been the history of the president addressing the house? Has it been historically through the chief clerk, through the speaker, or through the
Uh, so,
or through
so,
the president?
so, so the history of the president sending communication to the House has been both ways. We have seen communication addressed to the presiding officer without mentioning the speaker. We have seen communication addressed to the chief clerk. We have seen communication to the speaker directly, which goes to the whole House. So there have been like three established channels of communication that I'm aware of.
And the president is at liberty to use any of those channels.
The president is at liberty to use all of those channels, Mr. Jha, and you must note that in delivering any of these communication, mostly all those communications are taken to the chief clerk office, and there where it is signed for and it is enrolled. And the chief clerk will later take it to the speaker or to the presiding. That's how it goes. So those to me, those are just minor. Those are just minor issues. The substantive issue there is why is it that as speaker you have failed for over a week to have session and you adjourn? Why is it that you did not inform the Liberian Senate? Second, why is it that you have failed for 3 weeks to convince your colleagues to come and you think the court can do for you? No, the court cannot. This is a political question. The speaker is first among equal. You hold that position by your capacity to amalgamate, to control that majority to do the Liberian people business. As soon as you loses that, it means someone is controlling it. And whosoever is controlling it by the operation, you have failed the Article 49, which is the proper functioning of the House. So
Let,
this
let,
Article 49 that he's standing on, or that he was standing on, it didn't just talk about tenure, it talked about proper functioning. You must have quorum to properly function. When you cannot amalgamate or garner quorum, you have become incapacitated and very fatally in legislative work, especially in view of the fact that you arrive from overseas with plenary established in the Joint Assembly Hall.
yeah, and that plan, that the legality of that plenary, you lay it out, but that's still debatable. Let's go to
Uh,
Article 33.
Yeah,
Simple
that's good.
majority of each house shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of
Uh,
business, but a
uh-huh.
lower member may adjourn from day to day and compel the attendance of the absent members. In your
Uh-huh.
legal mind, what does compel the attendance of the absent members mean?
So that constitutional phrasing, it was done in the context of a normal operation of the House, where you don't have a vote of non-confidence on the Speaker. So in that way, it operates like this. The way it operates is you went to session today
Hmm.
and you get in the building and you are just like 20 or so.
Yeah,
So they say, Sergeant at Arms, go and whip the members. So the Sergeant at Arms goes from office to office, the chief clerk office start making call for the others to come in. And just in time, you may get for, quorum and work. When you don't have quorum to work, then the presiding order officer will give a mandate that those members who are wheresoever they are, they should be informed to come. That if they don't come, they will suffer penalties which are laid out in the rules. You get it? But now this is a quite different situation.
and
You
I
have
said, no, I still
yeah.
want to. Which form does that compulsion take? When they say you shall
So
compel,
that compulsion, um, the magnitude of that compulsion is directed through the rules that say if you have 3 or 4 excused absences. I'm sorry, I'm not exact with the figure I left some years ago, right? So
yeah,
certain amount of unexcused absences can lead to you being deprived of your salary because you are not working.
that's different from
So
compelling you to come because the
so no,
Constitution is very
so
clear.
the only way that is the compulsion now. The compulsion is if you don't come, you will not take pay. If you don't come, you will not get gas. You have not been working. But
Right. That,
there is
that's a
and
penalty
then
for not
so
coming.
yeah,
That's
the
a
penalty
penalty.
for not coming
Right.
becomes the coercive tool. The penalty serve as the whip that will whip you to come. And then in some instances, uh prayer will be taken, and then roll call will be taken, and then it will be established that you don't have quorum, and then it will be openly announced by the presiding officer that people should come to plenary. If they don't fail to come, we will enforce the rules on them. So that is the compulsion they're talking about. There is nothing there that you'll tell somebody. Now, so now let's
No,
go to the
what I
situation
believe,
in hand.
here's
Mhm.
what I believe the compulsion is because when they say the only thing we have to compel people to do something is the law. So you run to the Supreme Court and say, make them to come, don't you think?
No, the Supreme Court will not do that. The
What kind of
remedies
compulsion?
are
Because
coming. The
I'm not
remedies
going to
are
break.
all in the house. The remedies are all in the house.
No, but the
The
House
house.
rule it should be drawn from the Constitution that say these people should be
Yeah,
compelled to come to
I'm
meetings.
coming. Yeah, that's your point. But the you should understand Article 2 say coordinate branches. It did not erect or it did not set up the Supreme Court as a branch that will be whipping in the other branches. No. So it says the House Article. It said that for the now for the it says the House should make its own rules, maintain
Yeah,
order.
correct.
So in that same rule,
But those rules
it gave
cannot
a
be
scenario.
inconsistent.
Yeah, it gave a scenario for expulsion of members. So
Mhm.
when you are deprived of your benefits and salary, and you still are not coming to work, the option of expelling you for abandonment of duties. That's why I say you don't even need to go to the Supreme Court because the House has sufficient constitutional backing to self correct itself. And that is why it is a political question, and you don't carry to the judiciary because the House, the Constitution also already say you can expel your members, you can expel your, you can remove your presiding. So that same power is what you utilize. You don't run to the court, court do this. No, because the power of the legislature is original, just as the court power is original from the Constitution. So that's the layout of thing. Now, one we want now, can we apply it to the situation that was attaining before the election of Speaker Kun? So the situation that was attaining is quite interesting and complicated. You have plenary on one side with your Article 33 quorum, right? They are doing their legitimacy has been established. Those who are not going to work, they are not working. So in a way, the former speaker himself was not working because nothing stopped him from going to the appropriate constitutional quorum because that quorum was constitutional and is constitutional. So was there anything that stopped him from walking in there one day and saying, "I'm speaker, I'm here to preside"? Nothing, absolutely nothing. Because the decision has been made while he was abroad that this is plenary sitting because of the violence. So you go in there, and so you will see that when they say compare the numbers, that's the tool of compulsion. But the complexity of the situation is the former speaker was in the midst of a legislative dispute, and the fact that he could not garner quorum, it means he has no leverage of compulsion. It is the majority leverage of compulsion. It happened in the
No,
Tyler case, it happened in the Suno case.
no, it says the minority should compel, not the majority. In fact, the Constitution does not make mention of majority. It talks about a lower number. A lower number should compel.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go to your
Mm-hmm.
still with the Tyler case. You were in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is a rule that says members of the House should not be involved in corruption. So it was simply on the basis of that rule that Speaker Tyler was asked to recuse himself, go and clear himself of the corruption allegation in the cyber mining case. And if he cleared himself just in time, he resumed his speakership. So that's what that fight was all about because the Speaker Tyler being criminally charged at that time, one time he will come to work and then the next picture of him will be indictee in the docket. Those two will not be good for our democracy. That was the reason. And after some time, Speaker Tyler himself saw that that was the appropriate thing to do because you cannot be in a criminal docket today and tomorrow you are sitting presiding over the rulemaking body. What kind of send mixed messages and mixed signal to it? And then so what the House was doing was insisting on adherence to its own rules. And then so that is what happened that time.
All right. So
Because in other democracy, you will realize when such occupant of such high position is accused of maybe sexual misconduct, this, that, the first thing they do is they resign.
yeah.
So
So
we're
now
simply telling him, hey, you got to do that.
we are hearing of the same corruption charges or allegation in the same case where people are
Uh-huh.
coming forward and saying, "Hey, they bribed me to do this."
Uh-huh.
Yeah, those things have not been investigated up to date. If
Those
this, if
those
this,
ones
if
those
this,
one will be investigated. I remember in a Suno trial, in a Suno case, similar allegations were made, and then they were eventually investigated, and Senator Suno at that time represented Suno did not have evidence. It was a wild geese hunt, and he did apologize to the house, and he was disciplined. He and those who made the allegation, they were disciplined. The gentleman from Bapolu or Bomi who waived some money, I think he is fit for investigation by the Ministry of Justice because he who solicit bribe and he who accept bribe is as guilty as he who offer it. So I think the Justice Ministry will soon send for him. That's another aspect of it. It's a criminal investigation. He said he was bribed. He will need who bribed him, and for taking it, he's already guilty for taking the alleged bribe. Now, the other aspect to this whole thing, the former speaker said he's aware of a room where they were actively practicing corruption and dwelling money out last year. Now he was deputy speaker at that time. Why was he aware of such crime and he didn't expose it? So he was complicit in it. On that alone, if on that alone, if I were in a house, I say then you resign because you acted, you were not, your action was not consistent with your oath of office. If you were aware of an active, ongoing crime, you should have elected the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission or the Ministry of Justice to air it. You didn't. So all of this issue of allegation of a bribery and counter bribery, the new speaker will set up a committee to probe into it and establish the factuality and probably whatever is the findings are will be made available to the public. That is how it was done in the Snow case.
So you understand why the Liberian people really don't trust the legislature? That there's all place of brown envelope and people are giving money and being bought. In fact, they buy votes. You understand where that's coming from?
Actually, Liberian people will almost believe that everything is done for money. That's the perception of the general
Oh yes,
perception of
but there's
Liberia.
no truth there.
Sometimes it's reinforced by development and activities. Because when you hear a former speaker saying, "Yeah, there is room 1026, they were dividing money there," why you think they live? Why you think he has portrayed to the Liberian people that he himself facilitated that crime? Because he concealed it. So this perception is sometimes engendered and facilitated by very, very senior government officials, which
Right,
is
but
wrong.
you were there.
Which is wrong.
Do you
I was
believe
there.
do you believe don't you believe money changes hand there or it's just perception?
I never saw money changing hand other than going to people account as their salary. I think it's just unfortunate perception. You know, the
Right.
differences between our democracy and the democracy you live in is, yeah, the constitution ban corporate donation to lawmakers. Over there is open, it goes to the what I call account. And so because people believe anytime the lawmaker invites members of the public or senior government official is for money, which is unfortunate perception. The same perception people have that the judiciary is corrupt. And nobody has ever seen a judge taking money. Oh, a judge is corrupt. So this perception need to be fought very vehemently. In this case, the former speaker is even under obligation to help investigate what happened in room 1026.
All right. Let's talk about the procedure in removing the speaker. It's laid down in
Mm-hmm.
the constitution. Do you think that was followed in
Uh,
the
so
removal?
so there is a issue of due process at the heart of this whole issue.
Mhm.
So, but before you get to due process, my brother, the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, like many constitutions,
Mhm.
there are two issues that they didn't leave with the judiciary. They took from the judiciary. The issue of impeachment and the issue of removal of legislative leadership. Those two issues are left in the legislature for a reason because they are what political issues.
Mhm.
Because those issues are neither civil, neither criminal. An impeachment or a remover from legislative leadership is not on the basis of crime. You lived in America. Bill Clinton, like I said today, did he commit a crime to be impeached by the lower house when he had oral sex in the office? No, he broke no. And Kevin McCarthy, did he break any law to leave office? No, it was a vote of non-confidence. We have approached the United States Supreme Court. He dare not because the United States Supreme Court will not even accept it because it is falls under the doctrine of political question and separation of powers. Under these two doctrines, the judiciary must not interfere in these matters. You
No,
interfere,
no,
you
let's talk about the
interfere,
procedure.
you
The procedure
yeah,
of
we're coming to the
removing.
procedure. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're coming to the
we'll come
procedure.
to the
So
judiciary later on. Let's talk about the
yeah,
procedure.
so the procedure layout in
Mhm.
Article 49 is simple.
Right.
Article 49, I think you have it there.
The
It
speaker, the
says,
deputy speaker, and other officers so elected may be removed from office for cause
uh,
by
uh,
resolution of the two-thirds majority of the members of the House.
good. So from what I understand, they established a resolution signed by 450. And
Should, should it
in
call for
that
a vote?
resolution,
The
I mean,
resolution. Mhm. Should it
in
be
that
voted
resolution,
upon?
So no, because the Constitution didn't say so. It says you establish by cause and by resolution signed by 50. So the cause is in that resolution, and once that magic number is achieved, you are out.
The Constitution did not
It,
say
it is
sign.
it is it is it is not an impeachment that goes to trial in the Senate. No, it is simply your remover. And when two-thirds of your peers
Right.
say that this in this paper, what in this paper we believe it, leave, then the Constitution say you leave.
No,
Now,
no, no,
what
hold on.
is the
Hold on.
the procedure there?
The resolution of a two-thirds of the members.
Hmm. Yeah.
Resolution of a two-thirds. Does it mean signing something on paper? Does it mean voting? What does that
Yeah.
resolution of two-thirds mean?
So a resolution or tutor in my mind it comes in two ways. What has 18 on two occasions is a resolution on paper signed by two-thirds. And one that magical number is 18. I think the former speaker put himself on record saying, if you get it, I get out. So now
Right.
when that
That's what
number
we
is 18, when
Mhm.
that number is 18, you are asking about procedure. So in my mind, when that number is 18,
Through vote.
the matter
That
the
number is
matter
through vote, right?
no, I don't think so. Just allow me to see what I know. So when that number is 18, the complaint may be sent. In this case, there was a complaint against him by 5 members. The complaint was sent to a committee. The committee invited him. When I was in studio today, one of his colleagues in President Dixon Sibo said the group that invited him was illegal and unconstitutional, therefore he should not go. Now, I don't know whether he consulted the learned lawyer before saying that. If a body sent for you, a quasi judicial or judicial forum sent for you, and you know they don't have jurisdiction, the rule is the law is you go and tell them. If they write you, you reply to that. Your failure to respond to that, it means they can go ahead. It's what is called default. So the former speaker failure to respond to the communication, it rendered him a default. And on the basis of that, the resolution was drawn up. I understand. And therefore you were removed. So procedure wise, that constitute due process.
Okay. Yeah, I was merely on the because they say resolution. People wrote their names on paper. What I'm saying
Yeah,
over and over,
they will say on paper, but it's
yeah,
actually in a real
yeah,
solution.
what I'm saying over and over is people vote on a resolution, and then we want to see the magic to test, but that did not happen. There was no
Okay.
vote taken.
Yeah, so you go back to 49 you read. What did 49 say? 49 simply say a resolution drawn by two-thirds.
Yeah,
It
it's
didn't call
resolution
for
of a
voting.
two-thirds.
For the impeachment, for the impeachment, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You getting me good. For
Yeah.
the impeachment, the constitution is very clear that the senators should vote. For removal of the speaker and others, for the now simply say a resolution by two-thirds. It
Okay.
didn't call for that resolution going to trial. It didn't call for that resolution being voted because the signature is vote already.
Mhm.
By
But
the
that's
way, the signature is already vote, is concrete vote. That vote is not by hand, it's a documented vote that can go in the archive forever.
Thank you. Let's talk about now. Let's talk about the overall, rescue agenda. What do you think what's the precedent this particular has set
Oh,
going forward?
particular what I have said.
Yeah, going forward, what you think going to happen now because of what has happened now? That every time people, majority will get away and just draw out something and then say you are removed.
So if you ask me why, when Boris Johnson won as prime minister, he was voted for by the entire UK. But when he lost majority within his party, he stepped down.
Right,
His
that's party.
successor to, yeah, I'm coming. His successor to step down. So if you ask me what happened then, it's a norm, it's a democratic norm that the leader must at all time maintains the number, and whenever he feels a vote of non-confidence, like in the United States, one mad guy has put his finger up I got problem with this man. Let's vote, and the man was voted out. So that is part of the strengthening of our democratic norms, setting in motion those procedures that people should know that once you lost the majority, once you lost that vote of confidence from your majority, you simply step aside instead of forcing a legislative dispute, and instead of running to the Supreme Court, and all of those are unnecessary.
Thank
Because
you.
why? The law is the law,
Thank you.
and the law says two-third majority resolution. You got a resolution with 49 signature, you out.
Thank you. Overall, I mean, we are running a government. At the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
things will be done. What impact do you
Yeah.
think this long room saga has on the country, on the
Mm-hmm.
proper functioning of the government, doing the business that we elected them to do?
Definitely, I think the government business. From the last time I checked, I think it's going on. The Minister of Finance and Development was able to present the budget. The Senate is analyzing it. The House is equally analyzing it. So the public has not suffered any loss. I remember once upon a time in the United States, there was a log jam and the United States government nearly shut down. So we didn't even reach that level. So we are doing very well compared to the United States. Instead of legislative infighting, we are much much better. I could give you a number of issues that we are much much better in when it comes to legislative thing. What has not helped us here is the failure of legislative leaders to act like Kevin McCarthy, to act like those legislative leaders in the United States say that as soon as the loses majority, they step down. That is the sad thing that has not yet happened and is at the top there. And they need to come to know that once a vote of non-confidence is taken in you as a legislative leader, you step aside and you don't try to force it and thereby create an impression of lawlessness and chaos within our system of governance. There's no
Do
chaos
you,
in our system of governance.
but do you realize that this is a complete waste of time because who becomes speaker or not really does not matter, has some of the crucial things that we're supposed to accomplish. Number one, you have a body that has never been audited. There's a that is paid so ridiculously high, and we don't see the output matching the compensation they're receiving. We don't
And
have a place.
so,
Yeah, I'm coming. We don't have a place to go and see what our legislators are doing. We don't know even
mhm,
know their salary, even though they are public
mhm,
official. We pay them. All the rules
mhm.
that I've learning about this. There's a bill on the free port, the different free ports, but there is no way, nowhere we can go and access these things. So there are some crucial issues that we're supposed to be dealing with. There are people that will go before they send it or something and say, "Oh, even though I spoiled the money, but I apologize." They say, "Well, you are forgiven. Go and spend no more." You will have a smaller county, smaller population, like in Grand Cru. You will see the population being represented by one speaker, one lawmaker. Compare that same population to Monserrato or Nima County. So it's not proportional. It doesn't fit, right? So
No, it doesn't fit.
there are big issues that need to be tackled instead of us wasting time on speaker. Do you agree?
So, I will give you one story that I know about, and people who serve with you will tell me where I have stood on this matter. The matter of remuneration and budget for speaker, deputy speaker, and pro tempore. I think it has reached an end where a president and the finance minister should say, why this huge amount of money? Why is the speaker office requiring 2 million? Why is the deputy speaker office requiring 1.5 million? Why is the pro tempore office requiring 2 million to do what? What is the core function of these offices that huge outlay of funds is forked out to them in every budget period? And that is at the core of the reform. So we have what they call the legislative modernization agenda. That agenda, unfortunately, the blueprint is there, but it
Correct.
got lost. It
Correct.
got lost. And when it got lost,
And you know why?
when we got to that house in 2006, my brother, do you know my first salary as a lawmaker? It was 750 United States dollars, and it was brought in cash. And therefore, we went to Speaker Suno. I said, I'm not a rubber tapper, not a road worker. I should be paid at the bank. And he said, I agree, we got to change this place. It was thereupon the modernization committee was set up, and then simple things like being paid in the bank started. And then the first vehicle I used as a legislator, I took it on my salary through a loan negotiated with EcoBank. And all of us in that first batch, we took loan to buy cars. The only car we received in that first 6 years was through was to the government of Liberia from Metal Steel donation. When Metal Steel donated those pickups to the president, we went and begged her. We said we need cars to go in our constituency. That is how out of the I think 100 and some more vehicles that were donated to the government, Madam President gave her at that time, the representative was 64 and the senator were 30. Madam gave 94 to the House, and the remaining 30 or so went to the executive. So that was it. Is it possible to return to that system so that you buy a car with your own money and then and take a loan on your salary and buy your car, and maybe government give you a utility pickup for your tenure? Those are ways that I think the legislature can. But you know the real issue that happened there? The
No.
main thing that happened there is this. When the interim leadership of Julie Bryan went in, and it was a government of accommodation, members of that legislature began to run their own budget. Under the structure and setup, the chief clerk is the chief administrator of almost everything. But now, members of the House, who is chairman of Rules and Order, will be in charge of procurement. That is not his function. You got procurement director of the House. He's going into procuring of materials. That is not his function. His
Right.
function is rulemaking. So when that practice continued to the 52nd, and it continued to the 53rd, and now to the 55th, it means that people are beginning to focus more on committee assignments that have to do with inner operation of the budget of the House,
Just
and
corrupt money.
people are people are concentrating on attaining speakership because of the big budget, not because it's a service. And because the speakership is about a big budget, then you come to the kind of desperation we see when your colleagues say they no longer have confidence in you. You say I can't go.
But
That that is that is where we are.
you
That
gotta
is
be
where we are precisely.
you gotta be fair
That
to
is unfortunately that's where we are.
you gotta be fair to
I,
you could
I'm
you
being
could
fair to everybody in the room. I am
let me
saying
just give me a minute, because you are saying that one leads to the desperation of Kofa. But if you put
no,
it
I
the
didn't
other
say
way,
Kofa. I
I
didn't
mean
say Kofa.
the speaker, I mean that's
I didn't say Kofa. Kofa is not the only speaker that have been retransigent
right.
after losing the majority. I
So
said
what I
that's
mean,
what leads to that kind of situation. It was not personal. You asked
okay,
me for a holistic point of view
right.
of the legislature, and
What
I
I
have
want,
said,
no, I
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
maybe let me repeat it. Yeah, you get me, right? It is because of the enormous budget of the speaker that I really don't see for what use it
I want
is.
everybody is
That's
fighting for it.
why,
Everyone.
that's why even
Yeah.
when you lose the majority in other countries, you step down the next morning. But in Liberia, teeth and nail, your teeth
Right.
will die in the process, which is totally. I mean, you just lost the thing. Just move ahead,
I
and,
was
and,
adding
and
to that.
impression of our democracy being chaotic,
I
which
was
is
adding
not.
to that. Yeah, and to add to that, that's why also people who want to be speaker, they will spend their last tooth and nail to become speaker. Like what we are
Of
saying
course,
even
I understand that gentlemen have people in hotel, which is wrong. I
right.
remember in 2012, um,
Who
people
is
were in
paying,
hotel,
yeah, who's
and
paying for that?
one of the candidate called me and said, "Oh, we got your room at this hotel." I said, "No, I will be at my house. I got a house in Monrovia. Why should I go to a hotel? I will be at my house and go there tomorrow, day after, and vote." And that's precisely what I did.
So the elephant in the room here about this whole fight is driven by money. Will you agree?
I know I don't agree on that.
Okay.
The elephant in the room is twofold. The reason I brought the money aspect as an integral part of the issue with the House is the executive, or quote unquote Ministry of Finance, while it is struggling to find money to build schools and laboratories and provide desks and chairs, they have one office called speaker or deputy or pro tempore with a budget of 2 million.
Right.
If I were finance minister, I'm going to ask her questions. What are you doing with this money? We need it.
But
You
Mr.
got my point.
But
Now,
that's the
so
money
now,
fact.
but
That's the money fact.
when we come to the issue that is transpiring, it happens in all legislation. It happens in all legislation that people take a vote of non-confidence in the leaders. It's not because of money. So there are two disparate issues. And then the connection there is in Liberia because of the huge disproportionate budget of that office, the holders of that office will not want to practice the good governance principle and tenets of stepping aside when you lost the vote of confidence.
Right. And I
That
want you
that is
to
that is
extend
my assertion.
I want you to extend it a little bit more. If you lost the vote of confidence, you want to die for it. Also, if you are
You
not
want
getting
die for it because of the budget.
right, and also if you are like Kun, you want die for it because of the budget. I want you to reach that point where you are not looking
I
for
don't want to believe that one Mr. Kuhn
I mean,
instigated all of this. If you are
no, I
asking
mean
all to delve into it, I come in.
everybody aspiring
Yeah,
to be
Mr.
speaker.
Jar, Mr. Jar. Now you want us to go into the merit of the resolution of the complaint. Now, one
No,
kind
I
of the
mean,
complaint
I don't,
is no.
I
Let's
don't,
go there. Let's go
no,
there
no, no,
because
let me,
to convince you that people did not take the vote of non-confidence because everybody can be speaker. But what were the
yeah,
issues? One of
no,
the key issues,
no,
which is
I
very
agree.
wrong, is
No,
this.
I agree with the issue.
Uh-huh.
I agree with, but I
Okay.
believe this is just smoke screen. Everybody's after the money.
No, it's not a small thing. So
Yeah,
if you allow
because
me, I can just lift one issue out of the resolution if you allow me quickly.
no,
Let me just lift one.
I
The
know.
ECOWAS Parliament,
eh,
the
eh,
ECOWAS Parliament, Mr. Jar, and other international parliamentary bodies like the one I worked on for 10 years, you
right,
are routinely elected
right,
for a term of 4 years, right? Now, in that resolution, the speaker did not go by that norm,
right.
the former speaker, but he rather wrote ECOWAS Parliament and said, we have elected those persons. That information is wrong, is erroneous, and by the rule that's dishonest state, and that count alone is a vote of non-confidence, and that count
I
alone,
don't
a
disagree.
principal person could resign. So you
I don't
cannot
disagree.
say it's because of that.
I don't
You
disagree.
don't
But
disagree.
everybody,
Okay.
I don't disagree. But everybody wants that power. Everybody wants to be able to get that budget. And besides the budget, see how much money people are making in the House and in the Senate. I mean, who
I
doesn't
don't
want
know
to
the
see that?
current. I don't. Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's about
The
8,000.
Liberian people elect them.
Yeah,
If we
it's
come
around
to, if we
8,000.
come, if we come to the budget of Liberia, which can be another time. My take on it from 2006 up to now is how come our fiscal managers how allow for every new penny that comes it get gobbled up by the recurrence. It's a fiscal challenge that they got to explain because when our budget was at 150 million, I was in the house. The recurrent portion was taking up to 60% or more, right? Okay, 60% or more of 150 million is is close to 70 million or 80 million there.
Mm.
Now you are at 500 and then your recurrent just come off, it swallow again. Now you are at 700 million, your recurrent just come off, it swallow it. What is happening with our fiscal managers at the Ministry of Finance? It's a
And
hard question that you should answer.
what is happening to our legislators who are making these laws? They are
And
making
the
laws,
legislators that have oversight over the fiscal management, what is happening with them as well?
and these things are completely ignored. And our
And
focus is
you will find out within there can be dissent. So there was a group of us who were backing a bill called a standardization bill that was proffered by both chambers to reduce the high maintenance cost of the office of speaker and deputy speaker. That bill was presented almost like 20 times, it failed. The only
why
sad thing about the bill, because the people was, oh, I need a speaker, I need a speaker bill,
exactly
I need a
because
speaker budget.
everybody will benefit. But
No,
when it comes to
the sad thing about it is the chief proponent of the bill became speaker, and I reminded him
Exactly.
It didn't pass. Why he didn't pass it? He was speaker.
But and then
Anyway, that's
you
why it's
still
between him and say we laugh about it. He's my brother. He's a
and you
friend.
still
But I
and
thought
you
that
still
was the
not agree with
opportunity.
me.
That was at that time I was not in the house again. If I were in the house when he was speaker, I would have preferred that bill again. I say, Chief, two of all you to sign it.
So you agree with me
Yes,
now
sir.
that money is the driver of all these things. Because
I
if you
disagree with you on
if-
that.
all right, let's leave that and go to the overall rescue mission.
I
Do you
cannot speak to the. Oh, mhm.
yeah, do you believe the rescue mission is it are the Liberian people feeling rescued under this mission?
uh, Political sloganeering and governance are two different things.
Hmm.
Every political campaign is anchored on a slogan.
Okay.
Firstly, uh, from 1847, every government have come to rescue Liberia. So it was not a new slogan; it was sloganeering. The the critical question is governance effectiveness and deliverables. And
But
so, given that
we cannot discount the platform you run on and say, well, that was just I was only deceiving them. This is just slogan. I didn't mean it. Is that what I'm
no,
hearing?
no, that's not what you're hearing. You have not heard anything. You have not
Mhm.
heard my submission. I was just
Okay.
laying a groundwork. So I was saying that
Yeah,
sloganeering is part
the
of
slogan
politics.
means nothing. That's your
Yeah,
premise.
sloganeering is part of governance. It doesn't mean anything. It means something because it is the principle of governance that you will use. If you
Exactly.
say, like President Torba said, from mat to mattresses, then there were programs initiated for that effect. So now
Exactly.
that you say it's a rescue operation, um, you have a 6 year you will have to then look at maybe at the end of this budget year, which ends pretty soon. Then you have to review the deliverable and match it against that. So there are some NGOs here that does the inventory for all of us. So I guess they are getting ready. At that appropriate time, we can review this. But personally, I have not spent whole of this year in Liberia, so I don't have that sufficient data and information to look at it. But as far as I'm concerned, the governance of Liberia, it continues to run the same way.
Mhm. What about the arrest agenda? The arrest, they set up certain things to accomplish. Do you think we are on our way? I'm not saying we should accomplish them in year one, but do you think we are set on our way to really reaching that goal?
I think government is challenged, and I think government is severely challenged with some of those goals. Some of those goals were over opportunistic, and they are not achievable within a 1 year span. And so we will need enough data to evaluate on it. But what one can look at is which is a bit different from the past two administration is there have been some changes in the cabinet which we didn't see in 2006 or we didn't see in 2018, and
Like
so
what?
it would
Like what? What change?
like cabinet members do something and they take them off early. So in the past, it would say, "Oh, it's just starting. We just starting government. That was a mistake. Go on." But surprisingly, the Minister of Commerce went. So by way, you are asking me about the system of governance, and I'm saying overall that will indicate that the president may be committed to governance effectiveness.
Hmm.
But that one alone is not sufficient. Is not sufficient statistical projection to make any prognostication on. But just by speaking, sorry, to make a projection on rather. So just by the look of it, a commitment to governance effectiveness is what is needed in Liberia. Remember that all the platforms are basically more or less the same. What is needed is governance effectiveness. How do we reduce the recurrent and create more money to go after development and ensure that they go after development remains the sine qua non to Liberian development and growth, nothing else. We can slogan here whatever way we want. If we are not able to reduce the growing recurrent that I talked about, that every new dollar that comes,
Yes.
the recurrent consumes 70% of it, then we are going nowhere.
And
And I have
also,
to look at I have to look at I have to look at 2025 budget. I will look at it and one day I will point out that look, where are we going? The
yes.
recurrent is still growing.
Right, and we are not plucking the leakages because people are stealing money, and people who stole money, people who stole before, people who stealing now. It appears that people are not being held accountable.
So
Right,
you need a consistency in the fight against corruption.
right.
Consistency in the fight against corruption has sadly been lacking over time. Because if, for example, uh, John Brown is accused or is complicit in an audit report and he's suspended forthwith, and Peter Paul is complicit in another audit, Peter Paul should be he should be suspended forthwith. Then corruption will know. But it appears that corruption, like the saying goes, is such a well connected and deep rooted virus that to fight it, it needs extra human strength in Liberia, and that's how I look at it.
All right. One of the rescue guys, Amara Connor said, "Year one was a waste." I don't know if you agree with him.
Like I said, I have not had time to review it, and I don't know from what point he spoke of.
Yeah,
But if he who is an insider can say that, then it's something to look at. And then the question will revert to him: why have you participated in and allow a waste?
yeah, yeah. Because
Because because by all indication, he should not be a participant in a process that leads to waste. That's a key stakeholder. He's a senator. He's a former finance minister. So
ladies and
then
gentlemen,
then it questions his own role as well.
yeah, and we have plenty of questions to go around. Let me announce that we are in conversation with former legislator, Honorable Worlea Dunah. If you want to join the conversation, we have like 20 minutes to close. 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403 #. Few things have happened in the under the current Buakai government that people kind of scratching their heads. And I'll give you a few
Mm-hmm,
examples. The buses from
mm-hmm,
Ghana, the yellow machine,
mm-hmm,
and now this
mm-hmm.
loan scholarship, whatever that is. I mean, looking at those things, right, that they are happening, it look like to some they look like fake stuff, scams and scam. What is going on with that? Does that? I don't know. I mean, if you have any latest on the yellow machine or the buses and the current scholarship, what does that tell you?
Um, so what is happening is I don't know, but when you allow exuberance and you allow the euphoria of the elections and the promises to get to your head, you will make those kind of fundamental and elementary error. And you could, if the presidency is not careful, um, those inexperienced those inexperienced handlers around the presidency will create those kind of blunders. And but those blunders by themselves, they do not, like the bus incident. Do not say it does not speak overall of the president agenda in year one. In my mind, it rather reflects the inexperience of some of the handlers, because you can't just part up old buses and have it to be what they call. And then you talk about the yellow machine. I don't know the story behind it, but the last thing I heard is the president had assigned it to the vice president to supervise, and since then I've not heard anything about it. So I, like I told you, I recently came from Ghana where I was for some time, and then was the first 6 months of the year in the state. So following things have been difficult, and I'm in private practice. I'm not into active political politicking at the moment. So I won't be able to speak with substance on most of these issues as I have not been following it. I think the official opposition should be allowed to do their job,
Mhm.
which is
That-
to provide counter to this. And you know what? That brings me back to the legislation. We made a beautiful system that was destroyed, and I still mourn it. We had a majority leader, the minority leader in that house, but then the majority that was controlled by Speaker Sumo changed the rule, and it gave the speaker all the powers to appoint all the leaders. It was not so when we went in, and the dissolution of the position of minority and majority, which organizes the opposition. It made the houses kind of how they call it, identifiable body of everybody.
yeah.
And so in that way, It all becomes all power is to gain favoritism with the speakership. The
Right,
all
and
powerful
that's
speakership emerge.
right, and
The
that's why.
emergence of the all powerful speakership, coupled by the Ministry of Finance that keep giving them money upon money upon money,
But that's the money they approve.
has created a problem in our democracy,
They they
crisis in our
they,
democracy.
they set the standard. They draw their own budget. They draw their own salary. So they say, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. That's what's going on.
Uh, Oh well, but then the duty of the Minister of Finance is to manage the state on behalf of the president as an expert and advise the president on the objective strategic use of the resources, my brother. If you have an office of take the office of the deputy speaker, right? It has a fiscal outturn of excess of 3.5 million. The question is, my brother, what was your office doing that it had 1.5 million?
But if
Then
you
an
look in,
additional 3.5 million pass. Then I'll take you one more step. Then you go to the Senate. Then you go to the overall budget of the House and probably the Speaker office too. And then you question, like I say, I question the leadership of finance from 2010 to now. I question every one of them individually and collectively as to how come every new revenue inflow has been consumed by the recurring budget. That is expensive, not development. And the development portion is not growing.
and,
Never.
we're talking about the buses, we're talking about the yellow machines now, the scholarship, which I
Hmm.
mean, you visit America, you are a lot of us and a lot of the people in government familiar with the American school system, where a third party will say, "Hey, I'm coming, I'm going to give you scholarship to go study, and then I give you." We make zero sense. But how these things continue to get to the
The,
president?
the, the, that scholarship, that thing they talk about is if you are asking a Liberian student to pay $256 upfront to start the process, then after 1 month, another 350, and you get that out of 10,000 person, I think you are milking the case. That's not scholarship.
So
The
how
true
these things?
scholarship, the true empowerment of the Liberian youth lies in one thing. I go back to history. In 1963, when Botswana became independent, it had only three college graduates and less than 100 high school graduates. They introduced a policy of free education from kindergarten to master degree level. Today, Botswana in Africa has taken Liberia long, long, long ago and is on the level of other European countries. Free education, strengthen free education in Liberia, strengthen the University of Liberia and all these colleges we have established nationwide, strengthen our high school, rebuild the laboratory, science laboratory at Tubman High and all government high school, build computer laboratory in all government high school. Strengthen this institution instead of following something like someone say, I have scholarship for Liberian children, but let them get 250,
So
256,
my question is,
$256 multiplied by 10,000 person. You know how
yeah,
much you're talking about. So that is not a cue to our issue of capacity building. The cue
it
to
doesn't
it is strengthening our institutions.
it doesn't even sound real. It sound foolish. But where is President Bwaka in all this? Why is he entertaining these things and he continue to launch fake stuff? If I will put it that way, why is it happening that way? Is it people that
Absolutely.
want him? Does he not have the is he not able to really recognize these things, or is he being deceived by people around him?
Like I said, there are things that will lead to the official opposition to address as to what happened in the
I mean, we are
antechamber.
present. We are present. We can
Yeah,
discuss these things.
yeah, yeah. And what happened in the antechamber of the presidency is quite complex. You get people in the antechamber, you get people in the chamber before the antechamber, and you get the people outside and connecting. And so there are competing influence and inferences. And once things are not subjected to thorough scrutiny, and it's based on the basis of euphoria, you will always have those kind of results. I remember Madam Salif used to have a unit called President Delivery Unit that was well manned and well staffed. Such unit will be able to do you a very thorough scrutiny of such stuff before you take your president there.
Yeah.
So those are issues that surround or how the presidency is being managed more than any other thing. So I think it's issue of how the presidency is being managed by those who are running. And it's their job. For me, I'm in private life. It's their job. Um,
How when you come to this thing, when it comes to this thing, is their job, and when it comes to the legislature, you are very upfront about it. But let me bring in one of our callers here. Caller, hey, caller, let me see our first caller here. Hold on, caller.
All participants are muted and they can unmute them.
Okay, let me bring in. We have two callers on the line. The first is Jimmy Eastman. Jimmy, go ahead. You're live.
Honorable, you hear me okay,
yes, sir.
Dennis?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm hearing you, sir.
We're very good, very good. We anyway, this is Jim Eastman from Washington D.C. We
Okay.
appreciate a lot of the things you're saying because we've been pointing this out over and over again that it's better to develop our own institutions and other failures you mentioned. But one particular thing you mentioned is you see that as no matter how much we increase our budget, we see recurring expenses as well absorbing most of the budget. And we know we cannot progress. We cannot break out of this cycle if we continue doing it. So where would you point as the failure of our leaders to see these things you so brilliantly pointed out? Where do you point as their failure? Is it their greed, what Dennis has been trying to say? Is it their narrow-mindedness, or they simply don't care about the state?
I can answer now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother. I think this discussion, why it started on the related leadership dispute, it have entered a very critical stage that affect ourselves, our children, our grandchildren, the direction of this country. I actually, like I said, I blame it wholly on fiscal management and also on presidents. Because if I were president, I would lay the rule. For example, when we were in Madam Solid government, there was the late minister Abulai. He purchased a vehicle at a cost of almost 90,000. The president frowned on it, but not long afterwards, every ministers were purchasing vehicles at 90,000. The question is, you want to ride your dream car? Where can buy it? You understand? Even down to the managing director of LBS were riding how you call that luxury car from the states, Tahoe, Lake Tahoe, something Tahoe car. You just should be managing government or this public radio. How are you driving it? That is why I say the minister of finance, the development planners, the technocrats, what rules are they playing? But it appears that it's just process it as the revenue comes in. Every land ministry and agency.
Yeah. 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 Thank you. Let me bring it. Let me bring in our next caller. Oh, we're having some technical issue there. Let's see if our. All right. We are having some trouble there. Let me bring in our next caller here so we can call it a day. Our
Yeah.
next caller, Mason.
Yes, sir.
Mason, where are you calling
Good morning,
from?
Brother John. Good morning. I'm calling from Dallas, Texas,
Go ahead, sir. You're live.
in the United States. Yes. My attention is going back to the House situation. And I want to ask from the honorable former legislature if he has any law, constitution, or rule that he can point us to that say that so long you have a vote of no confidence, not a vote, or an understanding of wanting to impeach or remove the speaker
that you are entitled to remove yourself from under his leadership, under his supervision of plenary, and have written a way. If there is any law that you can point us to, that we can look at that law and see the Constitution give rise to the, or the rules, the standing rules give rise to this beginning.
Thank you.
And then I will have a couple of minutes.
Thank you.
No, just
Thank you.
hold on, hold on, Dunah. Just ask your question so we can the guest can answer.
Okay, my second question to that is, given the fact that the House of Representatives was still in safety according to your definition of safety, and that any group of people within the House of Representatives that is outside or fall out of place with the Senate, with the Speaker, has the right to establish their own plenary, where the Speaker can be invited to be a part, but not lead. Given the fact that the Constitution says that the Speaker is the presiding officer of the House when he is present.
So thank you very much, my brother. I think it's more or less the same question. If you have followed the show, we stated and established that the movement of plenary from the new building to the joint assembly hall in the old building was due to inadvertent situation. The facts were played out on television all over that the honorable members were about to assemble when talks were brought in and stopped then, and there was violence at the Capitol that day. It was against that background, while the former speaker was outside of the country, the facts, I'm just restating it, that they moved to the Joint Assembly Hall and declared that henceforth they will be sitting there until they can investigate the situation. So that is far different from the propaganda that says a group of representatives just go and sit down elsewhere. That is not how it happened. And that is not the factually. And he knows that a majority quorum that was sitting duly with the deputy speaker in house, he should have gone there as well. That was my take.
Thank you. Honorable Dunah, want to say thank you for taking the time to talk to us on a short notice. We will definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
If there's anything we didn't cover you want to mention in your closing, please.
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to share our experience with our people, and I will encourage you for the good work you're doing to continue to put more scrutiny on the for me the issue at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will accordingly leave it because you got a new speaker, but the issue of development and the unstoppable growth of the recurrent that absorbing and swallowing all of our new revenue stream. Our financial handlers should be cited by people like you and have a conversation on what is happening. Why is it that when we were at 150 million budget, 70% was going? Why is it that every step the percentage remain? How do we develop? So what fiscal measures should be put in place to stamp the growth of the recurrent, to allow the accumulation to be to new accumulating revenue to now be diverted to schools, to clinics, to hospitals? That is the challenge that has faced President Salif, President Weah, and now President Baka. So it needs investigation and it needs scrutiny. It needs the floorlight to be put on it as we are entering the budget debate period. And I will urge everybody, myself, my eyes will be on it, your eyes will be on it. But overall, I want the process at the Capitol to be construed in a rightful light, that it was a legislative leadership dispute that has been resolved. And congratulations to the new speaker. Former speaker did well, and he can continue to serve the Liberian people as a representative from Grand Crew. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Did it matter that the speaker was sworn in with his left hand raised? You don't have to answer that. I want to thank you
Thank you very much.
So on
That
that,
probably it was, I don't know, but that's interesting.
we want to thank you again for coming. We want to thank our viewers and we want to thank all those who will watch later. Here, focus on Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. At this time, we're going to close our broadcast with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good day and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia, oh. Either you raise it or we want. Liberia, be Liberia.